Hello everyone, my name is Noah. This is going to be the first video, hopefully to many, for introduction to Ableton 101 if you will. So pretty much I'm not an expert at Ableton, I'm still currently learning. However, I wanted to make these videos for people who are starting to learn as well, and kind of make these videos easy enough to learn Ableton. Pretty much what I would have liked to have people tell me when I was starting to learn. Things that would have made it easier for me to learn Ableton personally. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So first, obviously, you're going to have to open up Ableton. So as you can see, I'm currently working on a Mac. I'm pretty sure Ableton will be the same on Windows as well. So this is the default screen that you get when you open up Ableton. It's a new project. So right down here you have pretty much where you'd add effects and other tools to make sounds. If you pull this out, here's kind of like a help bar. It'll tell you what things are and what they do. So if you're ever not sure exactly what's going on, what this button does, click on that and it'll pop out and show you. So there are two different types of tracks that Ableton recognizes. One is MIDI and one is audio. So audio would just be a straight audio file that you would throw in. MIDI is essentially computer language, if you will. It tells by pushing notes on a keyboard, if you have one, or on your keyboard on the computer. It pretty much tells another instrument or another program how to play the sounds that you're putting in on the keyboard. So the way Ableton works, which this took me a while to figure out, was you have a single instrument that goes straight down the track. So this is all one instrument. This will be whatever instrument you choose, whatever sounds will play out of this would be the same ones. Let me turn off some of this stuff. So each time if you double click on this, it'll add a MIDI file to this. And then you can keep going down. This will both play the same thing. Now if you look over here, you have the master. If you click on this, it'll count and it'll play and automatically loop. So you could have one thing playing on this, and then when you click on that one, it'll automatically go to the other one. So if I click on this one while it is right in the middle, it'll count perfectly to throw it in, which is why Ableton is used for DJing live, because it'll mix the songs perfectly. So you hit spacebar, that'll pause and stop whatever you have playing. So now right down here you have your length, which is essentially how many bars this is. So now you can see there's 1 bar, 2 bars, 3 bars, 4. When you're hitting play here, you can see this is giving you a notification to how far along this track is before it's about ready to end and repeat. So in here is where you would then have all your notes. So Ableton gives you a few different options for this, but first we don't have anything in here, so we got to add an instrument. So if we go to Ableton's instruments over here, we go to instrument rack. Now I might have a few other instruments in here that you guys will, but just click and drag the instrument you want out. Here are all those effects that essentially make up a grand piano. We'll get into these in a different video because it does get a little bit more advanced here. But these pretty much you can change them to make the instrument sound different, add effects, remove effects, all that kind of stuff. So you can see that's in its own tab down here. If you click over here, this brings us back to where we were. So now if I would click on, we'll do C here. So if we click that, you can drag this one out, and you can see as I'm clicking these, it's playing. If you don't want that turned on, hit this little headphone here, and then you see it doesn't play now. So we'll pretty much just leave that. Now if I hit the space bar, that's it. So there's also another thing you can do to add the instruments in. We'll delete this one. Right down here, this button here will arm the track for recording. So right here I have a MIDI keyboard plugged in, which you can see I'm pushing the notes there, and you can see them right there. So I'll delete this again. Now if you hit the little button here, depending on the tempo that you have set up here, which you can change by using the arrow keys, the mouse pad, whatever, you can click that. It'll give you a countdown. And there you go. So now if we hit play, it will loop this over and over again. So I will normally record it as close to what I'm feeling and what I can do on the keyboard itself. And then what you can do then is you can manipulate all of these notes. So we'll drag this first one at least over closest to the beginning. And then we'll drag these ones as close over here. If you click on them each individually and then push the right and back arrow, it'll match it to whatever grid you have set. Which, if some sounds need to be more precise than others, there's a way that you can get down closer. So if you hover above here where the numbers are, you see a little magnifying glass. If you click and drag down, it'll make this larger, so you can get really down, fine into the details, and then drag up to go back out. Alternatively, you can click there and change the grid to whatever. Now right now, I'll right click on all of these, hit quantize, which will kind of make each note go to the closest part on the grid that it's at. So we'll do that. Drag all of these out. So there you have it. Now what you can also do is, add them in octaves. So if you copy them, paste them all, use the down key. That sounds really bad. That is maybe because I have it off. We'll drag this one up a little bit. It sounds a little better. Obviously it'll change depending on what type of music you're trying to play, what key you want your song in. Then if you hit this down here, it'll minimize that essentially to give you more space to work. This will also pull in and out. You have different sounds here. You have your drum rack here. So drums are always in a MIDI format. The drum rack will look like this. So if I go over, arm this track, and I hit keys on my keyboard, you can see there are lights lighting up down there. So each one of these you can program in, and if I hit the octave button down, you can see it goes down again. Hit the octave button another time, another time, another time. So you can fill these up with lots of different sounds. And you can drag any sound in. You can also use this for sampling. So if you just have a random sound, if you put it in here and you hit the button on the keyboard, it'll play that. And then you can tweak the settings, add effects, and all that kind of stuff. So I'll just add a real basic 808 kit. So you can see here is the sound that is essentially playing. And you can drag these markers here to wherever you want the sound to stop. So drag this one down here. So now this track is armed. Click back on my drum kits. So alright, we'll click there. Alright, so I did not want that to play. So now you can see here's the grid for this. If I select them all, hit quantize, sometimes it'll do it correctly, sometimes you might have to move a few things, so we'll listen to it and see how it sounds. We'll get rid of that. See, there was one that was kind of off. So there we have it looping perfectly. You can't even tell with your eyes closed that this is actually looping. And then what I'll do sometimes when I'm like listening to this, I'll add these in. So you just double click in there, they'll all add in. You copy, paste them all over. Then if you get down really fine, you could add smaller ones in there, which you can hear a difference in. So they kind of gave it that faster hit sound. So then I might have this looping over and over again. Might go back to my piano. You know, play around with it. You know, kind of see how you want it to sound, what ideas come to your head. Then when you're ready to record, you just hit this, and Ableton will already start you right on time. So that is kind of a basic intro to at least the session view, I believe it's called. Yes. Where you will actually record a mixture track will be over here in the arrangement view, which that took me a while to figure out how to use, and it is in fact very easy. But first you got to have some things down in the session view in order to record to the arrangement view. The arrangement view is pretty much where you will edit in the transitions, where you want the effects to come in, come out, stop. That's where you really, get down to the fine details of the song. And as always, when you are done, go up, click File, Save Live Set, and then pick a location to save it. That's pretty much all I have for this video. Hope you guys watch the other ones to learn more on how to use Ableton.